With that, it is now exactly 4 o'clock, so I'm going to call together the Maricopa Community College District Governing Board Agenda Review Session for May 19, 2020. As we proceed, I'd like to call attendance for board members, please. I'll start with Mr. Hendricks, who I know has possibly delayed. So Mr. Hendricks. So that's Mrs. McGrath.
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Narini.
Present.
Hearing you loud and clearly. Mr. Saar.
Here.
Dr. Thor.
Present.
Ms. Nguyen is absent. Ms. Maya. And I'm present. I acknowledge that we have a quorum, so we'll proceed. Not that there's any action to be taken, but just noted for the record. This meeting today is an agenda review, and as we proceed into the May 26th meeting, we will in fact have a public hearing for truth and taxation, both to review the statement and notice and review the budget. So for agenda review purposes, is there any comment on either of those two items? Board members? Any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Saar.
What were the two, the truth and taxation and what else?
It's item 1.1, which is the review of the truth and taxation. And the item 1.2, which is the proposed budget. So I'm asking if there's any comment on either the presentation of the future action item in the truth and taxation hearing, comment on wording, understanding, whatever anyone has. So let's do that one first. Any comments?
I have a question.
Yes, Mrs. McGrath.
I've been reading the truth and taxation notice in the newspaper, and it states very clearly that we're doing an increase in taxes, but it does not state that we are doing a 5-cent reduction in taxes anywhere, and I'm wondering why not.
Very good question. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. McGrath, I would ask if I can get Gary or Jim on to respond to that. I would appreciate that.
Yes, Chancellor, this is Gary. I'd be happy to respond. Mrs. Sullivan?
Excuse me just one moment. Hello?
Besides,
I'm sorry, Mrs. McGrath, that it was hard to hear you. What was your comment before Mr. Yaquinto starts?
I would like people, when they come on and identify themselves, to use their name and their title, because it is not just board members listening here, but as I understand it, a lot of other people. And I think in order to make it clear to everyone who's speaking that we need to use first and last name and title if possible.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. McGrath. Good comment. So, Mr. Yaquinto.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. I'm Gary Yaquinto. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the district. Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. McGrath, a couple things to mention here in response to your question, Mrs. McGrath. The first is that the truth and taxation statute prescribes the language that we must use in publishing the change that requires the increase in taxes from what it otherwise would be if we did not do the shift. So that is why you saw in the newspaper the specific language on the increase. Now, having said that, the truth and taxation statute also requires that we publish, you submit a press release to the newspaper as well. And because the press release language is not prescribed in the statute, we can include that additional language. So the press release that we issued did include the 5-cent decrease in property taxes for a $100,000 home. But the language in, again, the statute requiring the publication in the newspaper is very specific, and we cannot add additional language to that. Now, having said that, there's nothing to prohibit us from submitting yet another item for publication in the newspaper that does include that language, since we have already met our statutory obligation under the law. And I'd simply ask the board's direction on that, whether you'd like us to do a supplemental publication in the newspaper or not. I'm thinking that the press release that was issued covered that particular question and item.
The problem is I have not seen anything about the press release in the newspaper. And my constituents are saying to me, you told me you were going to do a tax reduction. I said, and there's this thing in the paper. So I really would like some clarification, and wondered if you could print the press release ourselves, or what, something that makes it clear that we did indeed.
And Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. McGrath, obviously there's no requirement on the part of the newspaper to do anything with our press release. But the remedy that I'm thinking that we might be able to do, or at least consider to address your question, is to send a supplemental publication to the newspaper and ask them to publish it with that additional language.
Mr. Quinto, it seems to me that it would be good to offer a supplemental with the additional language, given that we've already met the prescribed notice on the truth in taxation. And you are correct about PR, press releases, and that sort of thing. I would encourage us to release that again and send a copy of that to the board members, and also do and publish the supplemental comment leading with something similar that appears in the budget first paragraph, that we are offering a 5-cent reduction in the property taxes per 100,000 home. I think there was some good language in one of those. Mrs. McGrath, could those accommodate your interests?
Absolutely. It sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Gonzalez and Mr. Quinto, if you can do that in short order, that would be good. And we'll look forward to receiving copies of those.
We'd be happy to. Thank you.
We'll do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on item 1.1, truth in taxation, for the purposes of next week's meeting? Being none, then I'm going to move again to, I'm going to move to the discussion, if any, on the proposed budget fiscal year 21. I know there's still some percolating comments out there. This again is one of our opportunities to review and discuss this budget before it becomes a document for us to review and possibly approve on next week's meeting. So with that, I'm open to anyone offering comment at this time from the board.
This is Dana. I'll go if you want.
Please do, Dana. Besides, you're first on the list, I think, on the, so I just was going to wait for you to jump in. So thank you.
Comes with age. I'm still concerned about our enrollment. We went up a couple points in our enrollment detriment this last week, and so we need to have students, or it doesn't make any sense to open the doors. So my feeling is, if it comes to the point in the meeting, I'd like to propose an amendment that we eliminate residential tuition for the fall semester.
Well, you certainly would have that opportunity at next week's meeting to propose an amendment, unless you feel we're not noted for any action this evening.
Yeah. Well, that's the
So
problem.
keep going. Keep going.
you know, add the 25% that were down in the 15th week before classes start to the 21 to 27% over the last 4 months or 4 years, I'm sorry. And we're down some serious numbers. And I know that students are getting the brunt of this economy, unlike the last one where it was mostly the upper end that had property that got hurt the worst. In this case, it's those individuals working in the lower wage positions, whether it's in hospitality and restaurants and others like that. There are students. And so they're sitting out there saying, you know, I'm getting all this support from the federal government and some from the state and even some from us in some cases, but it's certainly not enough to cover what they're losing in wages and other problems that they're having in their household and so forth. My concern is, and I'm reading nationally that many students, because of that, are thinking about taking the year off until things get back to normal. And I don't think we can afford to do that. If you know, that just causes all kinds of problems. So I'd like to see us, and I know we can come up with different percentages, but I like to keep things simple. It'll cost us roughly $100 million, which is already got 70 million that we can use to apply to that if we need to. I think that's an investment we need to make to keep our numbers up and to make sure that the investments we're making from the taxpayers this next fall semester are maximized with the students that can attend. We're going to spend the money whether they attend or not. So I think it's imperative that we have students sitting in our classrooms or online, whatever the situation might be at the time. I think looking at just the fall semester is a good way to get them back into school. And I think once they're there, they'll persist through the spring semester. Although we can't predict what things are going to be like in January any more than we can in September, but we got to do something to make sure that we've got students in the classroom.
And Dr. Gonzalez, there's been some discussion of, well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Sarr. There's some discussion of proposals on reducing tuition. Where do we stand on any of that work?
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan, Mr. Sarr, to your question. You bring up excellent point. You're right in that enrollment has decreased to now between 25 and 26% on both the head count and FTSE. We've gained a little bit of ground on the summer enrollment, but we're still in a negative there. And both of those are probably hovering around the 10 to 15% range for summer. We can be prepared to share, you know, a model or two that looks at some discounted tuition. We can also present one that offers the 100% reduction in tuition and come up with a pretty good estimate of what that might cost. And if that's what you guys would like to see and have ready for review, we can certainly do that. We're also conducting some, yes.
Can I just jump in, making sure that I'm talking about residential tuition, not all tuition, which includes non-residents and so forth. So I'd like to restrict it to residents.
Okay.
So, Mr. Sarr, so thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Other board members, before I make comment, do you have any comments?
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes, Dr. Thor.
It would seem to me that we should also look at the possibility of increasing the availability of institutional scholarships, because not all of our students are unemployed. I mean, we do know that the unemployment rate, is pushing 25%, 35%. But a lot of people are still employed. So before we go eliminating tuition for all people, perhaps an alternative is a greater availability of institutional aid.
Thank you. Did I hear anyone, go ahead, I know it's awkward with dialogue, so feel free to keep going back and forth.
This is Dana, and I understand that. My concern is that we will be accused of picking winners and losers. And I get that a lot of people, like myself, I've already paid tuition for next fall, and I don't expect to get anything back. But I do feel that where do you draw that line? And the process of those scholarships is, you know, a lot of paperwork, I guess. I'd like to, I'm gonna keep it simple person, just, and the publicity is gonna be out there. If you wanna take classes and you're a resident of Maricopa County or the state under those situations, there will be no tuition. That's simple, and I think will give students a reason to come back. They're not, you know, the money's one thing, but their time is really more valuable to them in many cases than the money that it takes. So we're only compensating for the money. They're still on the hook for their time, whether it's in the class, whether it's the time they have to study. That's a huge investment on our students' part. I can know that firsthand. It's not the money for me, but it is an investment in my time that I'm willing to make. I've got the money, but those that don't, we're going to take away that barrier by eliminating tuition.
Mrs. McGrath or Dr. Narini, Dr. Thor first, do you have any comment back, or and then we can go to the others?
Yes, I cannot support the total cutoff of tuition. I would be interested in knowing what a $50 for some credit hour tuition would do, if that would increase enrollment, and what that would do to our budget, how much it would cost us.
Okay, so that's one of the, Dr. Gonzalez, so you're making note for future proposals?
Mrs. Sullivan, yes, I am.
Perfect.
And as I've said, we'll be happy to present some of the things that we've also worked on that will provide to you cost and potential effects of enrollment as well. So we can give you several things to consider.
Thank you.
We had this before, and how soon will we get it? We can't wait until the regular meeting. We need this information ahead of time.
Well, that after I asked Dr. Narini if he had come in, I would come in and I'll come back to that, if you will, because that was on my list of questions. Dr. Narini, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think what Dr. Thor is talking about, what they call in the enrollment management world is a net tuition revenue generation, where you balance how much scholarship and financial aid we can get to still generate income for our students. So I mean, that's a technique that everybody, a lot of us in enrollment management deal with. So, some other things as we're throwing out ideas, we might even want to think about, your first class is free and getting students in the door for that. And I would again, I want to go back to what we talked about a few months ago about our out-of-state students. If we can offer them a discount on their out-of-state fee that they're paying. I think we've got a number of out-of-state students who are here. If they're taking less than 6 credits, we can get them the lower tuition or the lower surcharge on their tuition. But I think, yeah, there's a few things that we can look at. I'm looking forward to seeing what Dr. Gonzalez's team is putting forward, because I think there are a lot of things we could do. But first class free, maybe even cap 15 credits and above are a locked tuition like Rio Salado does with their national program. But I think there's a lot of things that we can mull around and to work to generate tuition and generate student enrollment. But there are a lot of models out there for enrollment management that should be considered. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comment before I offer one?
Yes, I don't see the need to punish out-of-state students. It seems to me that if we're truly making a drive for more students, trying to attract them more with lower tuition, that everyone should be included in the reduced tuition costs.
Okay, thank you. It seems to me there are a couple things here then. One, there are obviously models that people are working on, and now, again, Dr. Gonzalez, you've heard some ideas and concepts from individuals here, and to play with. Next week on May 26th, we have a budget to approve. It's unlikely, well, I'm unclear what the timing is on the reduction or free models that you would present. Given that we've added more ideas, it's probably going to take a little longer. One of the things that I'm just offer is that if we go ahead and Dana, you're certainly welcome to make your amendment. And let's imagine that the budget is approved. We could certainly immediately keep looking at these models so we could make an educated guess rather than a reactive guess or reactive vote to some of these models and have them fleshed out a little bit more. Because what I'm concerned about is if we have 5 different models and we don't have a true opportunity to really dig into what the models are, what their impact would be, how would we measure the results outside of just plain old enrollment, or is that going to be the outcome measure? That it would be important that we have opportunity to distill this. And frankly, even if you were to present the models to us on Friday, which is in 3 days or 4 days, we wouldn't have an opportunity to do that distillation prior to needing to approve the budget. So I'm just offering that as there are certainly commitments we can make to immediately regroup, and we would then be meeting our legal requirement to have a budget in place and have an opportunity to do the appropriate distillation to information presented to us. So I'm putting that out there. Dr. Gonzalez, I'm not sure if your time and board members, I'm not sure how you think about that.
Mrs. Sullivan, my only question would be, when would you like to have these models presented? We've developed assumptions that are informing the models that we've developed. So with what I've heard here tonight, as an example, Mrs. McGrath, what would it cost to, at $50 per credit hour, we can punch that into our assumptions and generate something fairly quickly. The other ones might take just a little bit more time, but you let us know when you'd like to have that in your hands. We'll get that into your hands for review. And as you've described, next Tuesday's probably not the time where you've had sufficient time to review those and have a good discussion on them. So I also suspect that a follow-up meeting would be necessary to further delve into the models.
Yeah, my goal is not to delay the receiving the information or the appropriate conversations around them. I mean, and board members, that's not my intention. So again, wanting to make sure that we have models in front of us and have opportunity to fully look at them, review them. And we all probably have our own ideas, but certainly, again, we would have to review a lot of information around everyone's ideas and their impact. So board members, though I can say immediately, there is some challenge to that in terms of voting for the budget or not next Tuesday. So could we make a commitment to keep moving on this within that first week of June, or what is your comment?
This is Dana. I just am leery that once we pass the budget, that anything will change, just based on my 10 years here.
It's a new day,
I'd like to have
Dana. Sorry, I said that to
Well-
you, Jake. Go ahead, sorry.
Before I can approve the budget, I really want to see that there's a commitment, a firm commitment to quickly making a decision so that students can prepare one way or the other in their lives. We can't wait until the end of June to make this decision because we're still dealing with students that are trying to finish up their spring semester. And I just think making it known to them that there won't be any tuition for residents for the fall just makes it easy. We can certainly afford it. We might make some adjustments, but if we don't have the enrollment, we're going to have to make some serious adjustments that no one likes to make. And so just want to have as much information as I can I'll spend the time to look it over and make comments on it prior to next Tuesday's meeting. But if we don't have that and I don't have that in my hands by Tuesday, I'm going to be worried about the budget.
Well, I think you could probably have the items in your hand. From what I understand from Dr. Gonzalez, the question is its impact on the budget until we approve one, and that may require more time and conversation. Meaning beyond next Tuesday. Though certainly I'm sensing that because this is of interest to everyone, that board members who are present today, that there would be support for a pretty quick discussion on this beyond the date to approve the budget or not approve the budget. Am I wrong, board members?
No,
Mr. Right.
I know. Should I just call on you all? I don't know who said no. No goes first.
who?
Somebody said no. I didn't know.
Me. Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
No, I think you're correct with what you're saying. There's no dispute.
Okay. Mrs. McGrath, did you have a comment?
Yes, it seems to me that the tuition and the budget are connected, and we should make a decision and have it ready for how we're going to on the budget on Tuesday, unless the budget can be delayed, because I don't see how you can do a budget without knowing what your tuition is going to be.
Well, I think if we have multiple ideas, Mr. Saar is suggesting free for residents. We have your suggestion for $50 a credit hour. We have for everyone. We have Dr. Thor's suggestion that we look instead at institutional scholarships. So it would be hard, is my guess, for someone to work up these 52 pages of budget based on all of those models for us to choose which model. So my experience is that budgets can be modified. You can send one in and then make an amendment to the budget. Where I heard from Mr. Saar is he didn't trust that process up front. I think if we all made a commitment to go through that process, as soon as we could, then we could submit the budget and then have the discussions and then submit an amended budget. But if I'm to understand that we have multiple models to consider, each one would probably require its own budget. So I don't think I'm wrong on that. So yeah, unless there is some legal way to postpone a budget, which I don't know. I mean, I know people do it. I don't know if there's penalties. I don't. And what would that mean exactly? Because what would that mean? I don't know the answer to those questions. So any further comment? Because it's important to know what to do here.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
So it seems to me that we need to move forward with the budget next week with a commitment to look at some alternatives around tuition or aid to students. What tuition we're putting into the budget is an estimate as it is. So as long as we're not proposing to raise tuition, which we're not, it would seem to me that we can work within the budget that's being presented to us now. We can always show that there's going to be less revenue than we originally estimated and make other adjustments as necessary. So I think we can accomplish both. I think we can approve the budget, and I think we can continue the discussion about what is the best way to support students and try to bolster enrollment.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment on? Yes, go ahead.
Mrs. Sullivan, if I may add, then since we've got a board meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, maybe we can carve out some time before to have a work session around the models that we would present to you guys.
We could, but that would still not allow us to have a budget presented to us around any of those particular models.
Understood, but I'm also hearing that there's a request to have an opportunity for this group to come together to first see models and then have a room for discussion. So I'm just trying to identify a convenient time when we're all coming together already. Next Tuesday.
That would be fine.
Of course, that's up to you all.
No, that's a good suggestion. Again, recognizing that a budget would be presented to us as it is now, we could have the discussion and then see where that goes for a commitment to move forward after that, to Dr. Thor's point. So we can offer comment on that, or do you want to send me emails and then we can schedule it as soon as? But what I'm hearing, Dr. Gonzalez, we would like to be able to look at some of the models in at least on paper by Friday. Is that doable, or is it Monday? I mean, what would that look like to you and your team?
I wouldn't want to overcommit anybody. I think that producing, at least tightening up what we've been working on by Friday is certainly doable. I would defer to Gary Yaquinto, who's been working closely with his team to develop the numbers behind these models, and perhaps Dr. Fisher to also comment on whether we can deliver by Friday.
And Mrs. Sullivan, board members, this is Gary Yaquinto, Chief Financial Officer. We can get right on it. We've made quite a bit of progress on a few of the other models. And from what I heard in this discussion, I think we can move forward quickly and commit to have something by Friday.
That would include the comments that you've heard today?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you're sure, by close of business, I wouldn't make it 8 a.m. On Friday, that would work, I believe, from what I'm hearing. If you feel you need over the weekend, Monday morning would work. But if you're concerned that, or if you're feeling that you can make that Friday commitment, and Dr. Fisher, if you as well can support that, then we can go with that.
We can support that. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan and Chancellor.
And we will do our best to meet that deadline.
Okay. So by close of business Monday, whatever that, Friday, whatever that means.
Okay.
Ms. Sullivan,
Yes, Mrs. McGrath.
we have $70,000 that we have not committed. And I'm wondering if we can take the $20,000 from the CARES Act and add that to the 70, and then do a tuition reduction commensurate with that amount of money.
Thank you for your comments. I believe that the CARES Act money has other restrictions, but I'll defer to someone else to answer that question.
Mrs. Sullivan, may I ask Leslie to offer a comment on that?
Please.
Leslie Cooper, our General Counsel.
Hi, this is Leslie Cooper, the General Counsel. That is correct. There are restrictions on how the CARES Act money can be used to support well, it couldn't be used for a general tuition reduction. It might be able to be used to support scholarships in specific instances. It can be used to help the district in many other ways with the costs associated with the pandemic, however.
So it's not an automatic 70 million plus 20 million.
This is Leslie again. You're correct, President Sullivan. No, it's not.
Yeah. Well, why don't we, Mrs. McGrath, your comments are welcome. If we leave it as it is right now, these ideas will be put into some format and we'll have an opportunity to receive those and look at them. Are you board members in support of a work session prior to the budget, or would you, or not? I mean, prior to next week's meeting, not the budget, but the meeting.
That works for me. This is Dana, especially if we're in the boardroom.
We won't be in the boardroom on Tuesday.
Bummer.
As it is, well, whatever, I'll be present there. Any other?
Are you suggesting, say, on Tuesday afternoon?
That is what I
heard. 5 o'clock or at 4 o'clock, and when we finish, we take a break and reconvene at 6:30?
Yeah, I would think that we would do something like 4 to 5:30 and then reconvene for the board meeting at 6:30.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
I like that.
Okay. So, Dr. Gonzalez, go ahead. Hello?
I'm okay with that too.
Mr. Starr and then Mrs. McGrath. Mr. Starr, you had another comment?
I'm just fine with that.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. McGrath.
I would like to see a scenario where we take the 70 million and commit that to tuition reduction and see what tuition number we get down to. That way it will not impact the budget in any way whatsoever, and we will be making good use of our extra 70 million.
I'm sure that, they can put that into consideration as something for us to look at. Correct, Mr. Akinto?
Well, I think so. We may slip a little bit into Monday.
Okay.
We add as we add additional scenarios, but like I say, we've made great progress and we will continue to work on it.
All right. So if we don't receive it by the close of business on Friday, we can certainly expect it then by open up business on Monday.
This is Leslie Cooper. May I remind you that Monday is Memorial Day?
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, that doesn't change the Tuesday meetings. I guess I would leave that up to Mr. Akinto.
We'll push as hard as we can to get everything done. And by Friday, by close of business Friday.
And if it's, if you have 90% done and there's one waiting in the wings, we'll have an opportunity to know that, but it'll give us some good background for information discussion on Tuesday.
Okay, that works.
Completely forgot there was a 3-day weekend coming up. I'm wondering where my time goes. Anyway, all right. But any other comments on the budget? So with that, thank you. So then at the regular meeting, that discussion and opportunity to approve the statement and the budget will occur, then we'll resume into the regular meeting with the call to order. I am going to remove Pledge of Allegiance on that item since we won't be present. We'll follow through with the reports, including the Chancellor's report where it's indicated. Dr. Gonzalez, you will be giving us an update on pandemic planning. Is there anything we need to know now for agenda conversation, or just wait until next Tuesday for that update?
President Sullivan, members of the board, title of that is likely, as you stated, pandemic planning. There's been a pandemic planning team, and now there's a pandemic planning implementation team. And I think the presentation will likely be a blend of what's been planned and what's in progress of being implemented related to that plan. We'll provide that information on Tuesday, and then of course happy to follow up with any questions thereafter. But we're still working on some of the things that we plan to share. So I will wait till Tuesday if you're good with that.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so we'll move then through the agenda and move to item for
Mrs. Sullivan,
yes,
quick
yes.
for cancer. I'd be curious to know what the status is on how we're divvying the funds for the CARE Act. If you have some information by Tuesday.
So this is Carla Fisher, Provost, Ms. Sullivan, Mr. Saar, Chancellor, members of the board, guests. Yes, we can absolutely have that update for you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments under that item? I'm going to move in and list each of the consent agenda items, and I'll pause because I know it takes a while for people to get on. But my first question to you, is there anything on the consent agenda as presented right now that you anticipate wanting to remove for further discussion? Hearing none, I'll start then through item 11.1. Any discussion?
This is Dana.
Yes, Dana.
On page 9, there's a new occupational program for CAD drafting, and a couple things I want to say about that. Number one, that is awesome because it's a huge demand for those kind of skills, especially in BIM as part of CAD, which has been around for a couple decades. But as I talk to the construction industry a lot and design industry, and their use of BIM is huge in today's world. So I commend our staff for putting in place this program that gives our students the opportunity. Having said that, and this is probably for Mr. Moore's purpose, it'd be really nice if we used it ourselves with 6 million square feet of building. And I would suggest the first 2 students that graduate from this, that we hire them so that we could get into the 21st century. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Saar. Any other comments on item 11.1? Being none, item 11.2. Any comments? Any interest in discussion on item 11.2? Okay, item 11.3. These are all pretty straightforward. There's a lot of paper that goes with these. Yes, go ahead.
Sullivan,
Yes.
it just might be a good idea to let the audience, what there is, know what it is besides just the agenda number.
Okay, good point. Though those online have the agenda in front of them.
We don't know that for sure.
Okay, thank you. Item 11.3 was approve intergovernmental agreements for dual enrollment with public school districts. Is there any comment and discussion? Noting that this is on the consent agenda.
I refer to our counselor in high schools to give me counsel on this one.
Okay, Dr. Gonzalez.
I think he's
This is
talking about
Mr.
me.
Narini. I figure he knows more about
Sorry.
this.
Duh. Well, I was thinking there might be some there. Okay, go ahead. Dr. Narini, jump in.
I think the work that the dual enrollment task force is doing is fantastic, and some of the other work that we're doing to expand dual enrollment. I think next year when we look at this, we're going to see a lot more classes and a lot more students enrolled in dual enrollment because of the work that that they're doing.
Perfect. Any other comments?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Thank you. Okay, item 11.4 is approve continuing grant with the National Science Foundation Collaborative Research, TRAIN, transfer to interdisciplinary natural sciences, a community college university consortium to increase community college student transfer and success. Glendale Community College, or was that, yeah, I think that's correct. Any comment? Okay, moving on to 11.5. 11.5 is approve continuing grant with the National Science Foundation Collaborative Research, TRAIN. As I read before, a community college university consortium to increase community college student transfer and success. And this one is for Phoenix College. Any comment? (11.6) approve continuing grant with the National Science Foundation Collaborative Research, TRAIN. Again, consortium to increase community college student transfer and success, South Mountain Community College. Any comments? Item 11.7, approval of intergovernmental agreement with Pasquiyaki Tribe and South Mountain Community College to provide a career technical education program. Any questions or comments? (11.8) approve intergovernmental agreement between the City of Phoenix and the Center for Entrepreneurial Innovation of the Maricopa County Community, or the Maricopa Community College District. Any comments?
This is Dana. I just want to commend the team that's at the CEI and Tom and others for putting this together with the city. This is not a big dollar amount, but I think it's a good boost to the relationship between us and the city of Phoenix, and I look forward to the results.
Yeah, adding to that, I was present at one of the first meetings where invited by the City of Phoenix to participate in a meeting that they had with the members to discuss this. I was invited wearing another hat, not my school board hat. And it was it's always exciting to hear of new opportunities for partnership in the workforce development area. And let's hope that the feasibility study can offer opportunity for that area and community and a building that they're trying to fill. Item 11.9, approve U.S. Small Business Administration Award for Arizona Small Business Development Center Network Core 1. Any comments? Item 11.10, approve U.S. Small Business Administration Award for Arizona Small Business Development Center Network Core 2. Any comment? Item 11.11, approve new grant award, Arizona Small Business Development Center Network Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Any other comment on that? Being none, moving on now under item 12, business services. 12.1, approve renewal of the MCCD student insurance for fiscal year 21. Any comment on this item? Item 12.2, approve job order contracting purchase order for administration building roofing replacement at Glendale Community College. Any comment on item 12.2? Item 12.3, approve conceptual approval for remodeling in the TC 50 building at Mesa Community College. Any comment?
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes, Mr.
I have
Sar.
a question. I'm very familiar with that building. It's one of the oldest on the campus and certainly needs some help. And a lot of programs are headquartered there, more so than just the advanced manufacturing. And it may be in here, but I haven't seen it. But they discussed the fact that there's going to be some programs that are going to be displaced by this new larger classroom. But it didn't say anything about where those programs and what they were going to be relocated. And what they, because automotive is there, electronics is there, fashion merchandising is there. There's a lot of other programs that are headquartered in that building. And the plans that we were given, or the item that we were given, really doesn't talk about how that building is going to be reconfigured. So I'd like to know more about it.
Dr. Moore, Dr. Gonzalez, Dr. Moore, are you prepared to talk about that this evening?
President Sullivan, Mr. Sar, if Mr. Moore is not able to offer comment on that level of detail, I'm sure that we have Dr. Lori Berquam, interim president of Mesa Community College, that can help us respond to that question.
Okay.
President Sullivan and board members, colleagues, I don't have the specifics related to exactly which program. Oh, I'm sorry. This is. Sorry, Mrs. McGrath. This is Dr. Moore, Jim Moore. I'm the interim chief operating officer for the district, and I don't have the detail that board member SARS is asking for, but if the Mesa president is online, I'm sure she would share that with you, or we can deliver that information to you tomorrow or after the meeting.
I believe, Dr. Berquam, you are present.
Yes, President Sullivan, Governing Board Member Sar, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, colleagues and guests. This is interim president, Dr. Lori Berquam. And so the proposal in front of you actually does combine several classrooms into one large space. So the classrooms we will be using will be elsewhere in the college, primarily utilizing this space for some manufacturing, which we have a grant for which to be able to use some Prop 301 and some grant dollars to be able to make that happen. We have also and are in the process of transitioning our interior design program and combining and merging it with SCC's or Scottsdale Community College's interior design program. So we have a couple of things in the works, but this is an opportunity for advanced manufacturing to be able to utilize a larger lab space, which is our hope for this new place, this new space in TC 50. And thank you, board member Sar.
If I can follow up.
Go ahead.
If I could follow up on that, and I appreciate that, but you know, this is a year-long construction project. My concern is, and I think that's interesting that you're working with Scottsdale on this. And bless you, actually. But there's, I know automotive is in there, electronics is in there, and some other elements. And I'm wondering, well, during construction, how are you going to reconfigure those classes and that are continuing. So if you've got more detail on that, you don't have to give it to me tonight, obviously, but if you can give me a call sometime in the next few days before Tuesday, so we can talk, I would appreciate it.
This is Interim President Lori Burkholm again, and absolutely governing board members are, I'd be very happy to do so.
Thank you.
This is Jean McGrath. I think that explanation needs to go to all of the board members. I too am concerned about the displacement of these students' classes.
Dr. Burkholm, then, as you have your conversation with Mr. Saar, perhaps you could frame in writing some of the more the aspects of that and forward to all board members, please.
This is Interim President Lori Burkholm, and yes, I will do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, any other comment on item 12.3? Moving on then to item 12.4, approve conceptual approval for the deferred maintenance and remodel of Building A at Phoenix College. Is there any comment or discussion on this item? No comments? Being none, I'll move to item 12.5. Approve designation of individuals to certify expenditure limit report. Any comments on this? Being none, move to item 12.6, approve budgeted expenditure amendment for fiscal year 2019. Any comments? Item 12.7, approve bookstore contract extension with Follett for 1 year. Being no comments, move to 12.8, approve food service contract extension with Chartwells for 1 year. Being no further comments on items 12 to 1 and the conclusion of the consent agenda, next item on the agenda would be item 13.1. Is there any comment from anyone?
Yes, Jean McGrath. I would like information about are we reducing faculty and staff commensurate with our projected loss of enrollment? Are we, I see that in this employment and separations, we have 33 hires here. I'm wondering if anytime we have someone who leaves voluntarily or if they are fired, that we're giving strong consideration to not fulfilling a replacement for that position. I'm wondering what we're doing in that regard, if we're doing anything commensurate to reducing costs and to be in step with the loss of enrollment.
Dr. Gonzalez, do you have comment?
President Sullivan, Mrs. McGrath, yes, our presidents and district office leaders are fully aware of the situation that we're in and mindful of unpredictable budgets for the future, and are heavily scrutinizing every position that becomes open as a result of some of the things that you described, whether it's retirement, resignation, transfer out. Those are all being reconsidered, and all of them are not receiving an automatic refill renewal without some heavy consideration. And in some instances, positions are either being reallocated to a more important part in the organization that requires that sort of assistance. We're also seeing instances where positions are being held back until we have a greater level of comfort. That for us would be an improvement in enrollment, but we are not. That's the approach that we're taking right now. So yes, I would say that we're heavily scrutinizing every position that becomes available.
On our list of replacements, March 14th through April 10th, we have 7 new hires. How are you justifying those 7 new hires in review of the loss of enrollment?
Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. McGrath, that's an employment and separations report from the middle of the spring semester, where at that time enrollment numbers were still showing actually flat to positive, possibly even positive enrollment going into the fall semester. So I would need to go to the 7 positions that you're talking about, and perhaps so what I'm saying is I may not have the detail that you're requiring for an explanation of a specific position and as to why it was ultimately the decision was made to move forward with that decision. Sometimes new positions aren't necessarily those that are funded by the institution. They may be a position that was funded by a grant, and the cost to employ that individual is funded through a grant. And that might be one or more of the instances in the 7 that you mentioned.
Most of them are student services analysts, and I'm hoping that we won't have any new hires for our next report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McGrath, for your comments. Item 14.1 is budget analysis report, Fund 1, general unrestricted fund for the 10 months ending in April 30, 2020. No comments on that. The next item on the agenda would be to move forward at next week's meeting into governing board reports and current event summaries. I will comment that we will have present at that meeting, first of all, the hire of Miss Elsa Macias. She's present with us today on the line. She was hired as the new board executive assistant. I believe, as Ms. Macias said to me, she will be contacting all board members individually tomorrow to introduce herself. So we will welcome her to her first official board meeting with us next Tuesday. Also, I believe there will be an indicator that a new student trustee has been selected and will be introduced to her. I believe, Dr. Fisher, you'll be sending out an email to all board members regarding her, and she, the person who was elected, will be taking over the position effective July 1. So that will occur at those meetings. If you've noted on this agenda review, it stipulates that we will have a June 9th meeting at 4 p.m. To discuss, first of all, a work session to discuss the charter school budget. And right now that's noted for remote, given the progress, however, progress is made on bringing the district up to a reopened status. There is a possibility that there could be an in-person meeting on that date, keeping in mind that it is still each board member and anyone else's opportunity to not attend if that is not comfortable for them. And as noted, the same will prevail for the June 23 meeting at 6:30. I expect, given the agenda items coming forward, that there may be other work sessions for the board that also would engage the staff. And as we understand what those look like, certainly we'll communicate with Dr. Gonzalez. I'll communicate both on your behalf and mine, and we can work together to see how those can be scheduled and the format which will be taken to present or have those work sessions. With that, are there any other comments for the good of the order this evening?
I have one quick one.
Yes, Dr. Narini.
I know that earlier you would start the meetings with a theme song to kind of give the meeting some structure. So I'd like to propose to end the meeting with a theme song of "Happy Birthday" to Mr. Sullivan for having a birthday. So
Oh, thank you.
Well, happy birthday,
birthday.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Thank you. I don't hear too many voices singing, so maybe that's a good thing. Yes, we'll have to get back to theme birthdays, but thank you for the acknowledgement, Dr. Narini. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.